Hi everyone, Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple. I wanted to talk about an ad that I saw on Facebook a few days ago that was asking for a very part-time actually, bookkeeper in a Southern California town. And they wanted that person to come into the office, 2 or 3 times a month to do their monthly bookkeeping. And my question was why? Before I continue, as always, if you enjoy the show, please like, share, and subscribe. That is how I grow my channel. That is how I grow my business. I really try to put out a lot of high quality content so that I'm bringing value to you. And if you have any comments or suggestions about an upcoming video or a subject that you would like me to cover, please comment below, and I do read the comments. I do see them. I will take them into consideration, and I will most likely do a video on that topic. But for right now, I want to talk about these small business owners, and they're inevitably, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. They are generally very small business owners, and they are asking for bookkeepers, but they want the bookkeeper in the office, but they only want them in the office a little bit. And I'm going to tell you it doesn't work. Not anymore. Pre-pandemic, I would say you could convince people to do that. Today, less so. And this particular posting was from a town in Southern California where I know for a fact it takes forever to get anywhere in Southern California. If you're Californian, you know. If you know, you know. And he was insisting that they had to be on site. I think that's a very dated approach. I feel like it is generated by fear. And I think that this person is going to have a very hard time filling that position. One, he's demanding the in-person thing. And today, like I said, I might have been able to get away with it 3 or 4 years ago. Today, however, if it can be done on the cloud, it's being done on the cloud. It's archaic at best. And I suspect he's using a desktop version of QuickBooks. Again, Intuit hasn't announced it, but their behavior around QuickBooks Desktop is indicating that they are putting all of their focus on QuickBooks Online. They are updating it regularly, and they are making it as efficient to use as possible. If you don't like QuickBooks Online, I understand. I hated it when it first came out, but they have done so many improvements to it that it's actually become usable, and it is the tool that we use here. So the reasonings that I can come up with for insisting that someone come into the office as a bookkeeper or accountant have to do with paper storage of paper receipts, QuickBooks Desktop or having a desktop-based accounting program, failure to understand how to use technology, distrust of having someone come in and do the books, or a sense that they're going to get scammed if they don't insist that it's in person. And I want to address those. First, let me be clear. I don't think anybody's voluntarily going back into the office anymore, unless you are old, as in older than me. And if you're at the end of your career and you don't know any other way to be, then I can kind of see it. If you are under the age of 60, you should be able to be mentally flexible enough to start working with remote teams. If you're under the age of 40, you have no excuse. You're a millennial. You grew up with this stuff. So if you're a boomer, okay, I'll kind of grant it. You don't know how to manage report. Boomers are not likely to know how to manage remote teams, so they're likely to insist that their staff come into the office. I see this again with the Wall Street firms on the East Coast. That's the way they've always done things, so that's the way they want them done. I see that with SpaceX and Tesla. Dear Elon, the world has changed and nobody wants to work in an office anymore. And the studies, by the way, show that people are more productive if they are at home and they have control over their schedule and their timing. Studies also show that asynchronous collaboration is very effective. If you don't know, if you happen not to know what asynchronous means, it means that we don't all have to work on the same stuff at the same time. So the wave of the future is remote work, where feasible. Next, paper storage of receipts. Storage of paper receipts. Sorry. That is easily solvable, folks. I would rather go to the office or go to a client office once a week or so and pick up the receipts, bring them back, scan them, and then return them later. That still allows me the flexibility of working remotely without missing out on any paperwork. With that said, all of this should be online anyway. I almost guarantee that I had a client several years ago. Loved the client. They were the greatest guys. They had started a second location and they had me working at the second location. The second location was very underutilized. But it had a nice office where they could have filing cabinets and the like. And so they would print off invoices from their invoicing software. They didn't use QuickBooks for invoicing. They had a specialized software that was just for their industry for that. And then they would have me file those invoices that they printed from their software. I, however, would then import them into QuickBooks and work with them there. I never needed a paper anything. I didn't need anything in paper. I would request emailed receipts from their vendors. I would request emailed everything to be through email. Folks, everything is on the cloud today. Vendors can send you receipts and invoices through email, and then you don't have to print them. And if you care about the environment, you probably want to cut down on your usage of paper. Regardless of where it comes from, it's just wasteful to print something that came out of one software just so you can store it. I would print things at the time because they only had one monitor and I would need to actually check things off. And I felt so guilty doing that because I needed to be able to view two things at once. Then I got a second monitor and I quit printing anything. I have a very nice printer that the only thing it prints is a few checks. And that is for one of my clients. And even that's going away. It's typically not required. You don't need to keep paper receipts for anything. If you have gone to Walmart and bought a bunch of stuff, you can take a picture of that receipt and send it to your bookkeeper, who can then convert it to a PDF or keep it as a picture, and she can store it in her online storage. We use Microsoft ecosystem for all of our stuff, so we store it in SharePoint, and then we never have to touch that filthy receipt again. When we have clients who bring us boxes of receipts, one, I really hate that, because it's inevitably, again, someone who's in an industry that doesn't need to be cutting edge. They don't need to be up to date. They don't understand what the requirements are. So they give me huge boxes of receipts, and I scan them and I put them in our system. And then then I can return them. And if we ever need them again, we have a copy, and the client has access to those copies. We can pull them up and say, here's that receipt from Walmart on October 20th, where you purchased Halloween decorations for your office. So we can back that up. It's actually more efficient and more, how do I want to put this? More easily defensible in the event of an audit if we have everything in our system, in our online storage. It also takes up a lot less room. I have almost entirely switched to having everything be electronic. Unless Microsoft goes out of business, I don't see that happening. They've been around for a long time. We're always going to have an online storage. They have everything redundant. They have everything backed up. The likelihood of us losing our data is extremely low. If we were to decide to go into another storage option, we would have to have that triple backed up every night. And currently, Microsoft does all that for us. So there's no worry about losing the data. I have data on that server from 2005, and it's been safe. So the requirement is that you keep your documents for 7 years, and Microsoft is going to be here for a long time. So that satisfies the IRS requirement that you don't have to have paper anything anymore. You can, if you get a receipt, you can take a picture of it with your phone and send it to your bookkeeper, or you can take a picture of it with your phone and upload it to your folder for our use, and then you always have a copy. We have a copy. There is no worries about anything being lost. It's stored. We don't have to go hunting for a receipt. Believe me, this is so much easier. Everything's there. Everything's there. And because I am not as young as I used to be, it's easier on me because I can blow those receipts up as big as I need to make them so I can see them. And they're protected against spills and all of the garbage that goes along with them. So I would recommend, don't even worry about storing paper receipts. Store them online. It's archaic at this point to continue to try to store things on paper. Trust. Maybe the business owner doesn't trust someone to come in and actually do the work. I know a lot of people who are masters of coming into the office. I worked with a bunch of people like this. Coming into the office, sitting down at a computer, looking like they're busy and doing absolutely nothing. The entire comic Dilbert is about this. Just because they are there in person does not mean anything. It just means that they're there holding down a chair. What you want is what might be a better option would be a bookkeeping company that can take care of storage of receipts, that can supervise their bookkeepers, that can be accountable to you, that can go back in and say, well, of course we did the work. I see that on this date at this time, my bookkeeper by this name went in and they did this, 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 and this. I can see it. And that's what we do. So if you don't trust the bookkeeper to know their job, then my experience is that most business owners don't know how to do bookkeeping effectively anyway. So you're better off hiring a bookkeeping firm. That takes away any obligation on your part to train, to have a space for them, to pay for their electricity, to provide anything for them, because my employees are my employees and I take care of that. It's built into the price. Also, it's going to prove to be much cheaper for you in the long run. And even in the short run, you can pay someone, a good bookkeeper is going to command $1,600 or more a week. And you can pay someone to do that. Especially in today's market, a good bookkeeper is not going to be cheap. This is not really an entry-level job. This is not something you can pull someone out of McDonald's and you can sit. It doesn't work that way. This is way more in depth. I went back to school and got my bachelor's because I felt like I was missing so much information and would be able to provide so much more value to my clients if I had a degree, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And now I know what I didn't know. And it's even more obvious to me that going back to college was the right move. I am now finishing my MBA. And again, I have covered so much in my MBA courses that I didn't know even existed. So a business owner who insists on a bookkeeper or accountant coming into their office to enter transactions really is hobbling their business. If they're doing it because they don't trust the bookkeeper to know their job, the question then becomes, does the business owner know how to do bookkeeping and accounting? So, and 99 times out of 100, the answer is no. Unless they are an accountant themselves, the answer is no. No, they don't know how to do this. They do things the way they've always done it. And the last one is they don't trust the book, or they think the bookkeeper is going to scam them. I don't know how to even answer that. We do not allow our employees to have access to move a client's money around at all. And the reason for that is to eliminate any temptation. We don't need to be able to do that. I think that's a bad thing. We want our business owners to continue to control their money. What we can do is present them the information. That's our job. A lot of people think a bookkeeper is someone that goes in and pays the bills for you. And we could do that, but we would do that through Intuit's bill pay service. We can do those payments, absolutely, but it would be done through QuickBooks 100%, because we want to make sure that the business owner is aware of what's going on. There are a few things we will go ahead and pay for a business, but we also are very, very particular about keeping the business owners in the loop. So every time we work on a client, especially if it's something like, we need to go in and make sure that tax payments are made, we'll notify the business owner to make sure that there's at least this much money in the account, because if we don't pay this today, you're facing interest and penalties. So if you are seeking a bookkeeper, be open. be open. It might be that a firm in Utah is the best fit for your company in Florida. And we have clients currently from Hawaii to Turkey. All of them have US-based businesses, but we do have a client that is Turkish. And although the business is in the United States, we still have to work with him across time zones. So we're very experienced with this. I think the concern comes from talking to so many people who or having hired a bookkeeper that didn't do their job. And honestly, we have spent our careers fixing those problems. It's better to hire a professional. It's always cheaper to do it right the first time than to do it over. And with that, I'm out. You guys have a great night today. It's still morning here. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon.